Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vitvishawahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant from verses 68 to 72 of chapter 2. Tasmadhyasya mahabaho,
Tasmadhyasya mahabaho,
nigrihitani sarvashah,
nigrihitani sarvashah,
indriyanindriyarthebhyah,
indriyanindriyarthebhyah,
tasya prajna pratisthita,
tasya prajna pratisthita,
ya nisha sarvabhutanam,
ya nisha sarvabhutanam,
tasyam jagati sanyami,
tasyam jagarti sanyami,
yasyam jagrati bhutani,
yasyam jagrati bhutani,
sa nisha pashyato muneः,
sa nisha pashyato muneः,
आपूर्यमाणमचल प्रतिष्ठम्,
आपूर्यमाणमचलप्रतिष्ठम्,
समुद्रमापः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत्,
समुद्रमापः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत्,
तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे,
तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे,
स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी,
स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी,
विहाय कामान् यः सर्वान्,
विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान्,
पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः,
पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः,
निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः,
निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः,
स शान्तिमधिगच्छति,
स शान्तिमधिगच्छति,
एषा ब्राह्मी स्थितिः पार्थ,
एषा ब्राह्मी स्थितिः Partha
Nainam prapya vimuhyati
Nainam prapya vimuhyati
Stitva syamanta kalepi
Stitva syamantakaalepi
Brahma nirvana mrichati.
Brahma nirvana mrichati.
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So last week I had given you some more points, deep points about the Samudram, the ocean, and its relevance to your personality in terms of the spiritual growth. See, one is to see the relevance of these verses with respect to the world. That is, when you contact the world in your worldly transactions, how can these be applied? But the other aspect, which is the main aspect as far as these great masters are concerned, is your spiritual path, is your spiritual journey. See, when we use the word journey, that can be confused with the external journey where you move around in space. So as far as the inner journey is concerned, you are not moving anywhere. Even though we say go within, these kinds of words are used due to lack of proper words. It's very difficult to explain this. But what you need to understand is, the moment we say inner journey, the journey of the spiritual path and all that, it is not in actual space, but it is an inner transformation. You are where you are. You are not going to change anything externally unless that is very harmful for you. So you will be continuing in your lifestyle. Everything will remain the same, but you will get transformed. That is the spiritual path. So last week I had given you this principle of drop versus ocean. So you are like a drop today and you have to become the ocean. So does the drop need to travel anywhere in order to find the ocean? You just think about it. It doesn't need to travel anywhere. See, what you're doing today in order to find God, in order to find the infinite, is you are always seeking that outside. So does the drop need to go to a particular place of worship, a particular temple every day? Only then I can find the ocean. Supposing a drop says that, you will say no, it is a misconception. Supposing the drop says, no, I have to do certain rituals, only then I can find the ocean. There is nothing like that. A place of worship may be a conducive place for you to think or to feel, to get connected with divinity. That's all. But per se, it is not that just, if you go to a place of worship, immediately you will become more divine. There is nothing like that. So all the drop needs to do is to remove its individuality, and the moment it removes its individuality, it merges with the totality. Both happen simultaneously. So there is nowhere to go You don't need to go in search of God anywhere. There is nothing special you need to do. Then you may ask me, what is this sadhana? The sadhana, whether it is Yoga Sankirtan sadhana or whether it is attending the Sunday discourses, whatever it is, they are all practices aimed at making things conducive for you as a drop to realize the ocean, which is within you only. So you may be doing so many things. This is one important factor which you always need to consider. Where is your focus? It is not in what you are doing that will, that will determine whether you will progress spiritually or not. It is how you are using whatever it is that you're doing to expand yourself. A person may be externally very, very ritualistic and religious, but internally he may be very restricted. I've seen many people like that. A simple thing like performing a particular mode of worship, puja. I've seen people who get very, very agitated about the procedural details. Even if one person doesn't follow a small procedure by mistake, they get highly agitated. So the moment you get agitated, it means you're getting disconnected from the infinite, disconnected from God. That is why he is laying so much of emphasis on the word Shantihi. He says, not only in this verse, in 2 verses he is talking of Shantihi. When he's giving his, the final description of a Sita Prajna, he is centering these 2 verses on that word Shantihi because that is the ultimate yardstick. When you take up any practice, spiritual practice, that has to increase the base level of your calmness. So it is very easy for you to find out whether you're being spiritual or in the name of spirituality, you are actually fooling yourself. So a person may be sitting and saying, I'm chanting the name of God. But internally, if his mind is, getting agitated and worked up about so many things, it could be even about others who are not chanting the name of God. A person can get agitated about that. Then, in spite of chanting the name of God many times, he is still not got connected with God. Rather, he has got disconnected. Why? Because he has lost his Shanti, the peace. You may say, I'm doing Karma Yoga, I'm doing a lot of seva, charity. But in that process, if you're getting more agitated, why others are not serving, or it could be even seeing the problems of others that can start affecting you. It can make you very weak. Then again you're getting disconnected from divinity. So whether it is Karma Yoga, whether it is Bhakti Yoga, whether it is Jnana Yoga, I know so many people who analyze and who know the scriptures by heart. They are masters of that particular scriptural language like Sanskrit or some other language. All these things are there. They are all wonderful, talents. But are they using all these to calm their minds, or are they getting more agitated, or are they getting more arrogant. Ultimately, arrogance will give rise to agitations only. So this is something which as a sadhak you need to keep in mind. Keep Shanti as the center of your life. Everything which you do is only to become peaceful, is to become more happy. So why is it that you're attending these Sunday discourses? It is to get established in that peace only. So you should never ever forget that this is the central theme of these two verses. I did mention that in this verse, Samudram is a key. See, like this, every facet when we are seeing, you may feel that that is the center of this verse. But all these examples like ocean, river, everything is being given keeping Shanti in mind. So that is something which you should grasp. The moment you absorb the message of that word Shanti, then your goal, your ultimate goal will be fixed. Fixed means fixed deep within yourself. See, you are anyway seeking Shanti only, but you strongly realize that this is what I am seeking. So then that becomes a reference point for you. Any sadhana which you do, you always, many people ask me this question: how do I know whether I'm doing my Yoga Sankirtan sadhana properly or not? This is the way. Is it making me more peaceful from within? And is it helping me to interact with people in a peaceful way? Just ask yourself these questions. If the answer is yes, then you're doing your sadhana properly. Again, you'll have to give yourself a little bit of time. At least, you should do the sadhana for a few months. And then only you'll be able to assess whether your approach is right or wrong. So, as the ocean remains unmoved, even though we are studying all this, the center is Shanti. This is very important because after this verse, we are going into the next verse, wherein again he will be talking about Shanti. That is why I am mentioning now itself that that is the center around which these two verses have been given. So last week I had given you the various dimensions of Achala. Achala means unmoved. So I gave you three dimensions, three very powerful dimensions. So Chala means agitations, trembling. So Achala means not getting agitated, number one. Number two, Achala means focused. That is not being fickle-minded. And number three, Achala means strong, being a very, very strong person from within. Now, he is saying it is not enough if you're practicing Achala. Apuryamanam Achala Pratishtam. Pratishtam means getting established in that. It is a very powerful word which gives that depth in your sadhana, provided you absorb the deeper message. See, when we talk of Achala, it is easy to say I am practicing Achala. Here and there, you exhibit those qualities. Now he says that is not enough. He says achala pratishtham. Pratishtham means getting established firmly. We've used the word as the ocean remains unmoved. Remains means without moving from that state of achala. It continues to stay in that state of being unmoved. When can you remain in a place without moving away? Only when you're firmly established in that place. Last week I told you about the three approaches to Dvaita, Advaita, the Visishtadvaita and Advaita. So different levels of getting connected to the infinite, depending on whether you're viewing from the standpoint of the body, physical body, or the mind, or the soul. Now, at every level, you get established in this state of achala more. That is what is interesting. See, when can you get established in the state of being unmoved, achala? It is only when you get connected with the infinite that you can get established. See, if you take the dimensions one by one, first dimension is not being agitated. You may not be agitated because things are going on fine around you. That is not the state of achala. See, externally it may look like you're not getting agitated, but you are nowhere near being established in that. When something goes wrong, immediately all your the mind will get disturbed. You will move away from the state of achala. It means you will have to work on the pratishtham. So one is practicing and absorbing this deep message of achala, being unmoved. But the other is not leaving your sadhana till you get into the state of pratishtham. When Lord Parashurama, he was an Amsha avatar of Lord Narayana. That's how they've described. He was not a full avatar, but a partial avatar. Avatar means the infinite descending into the form of finite with full awareness. Now here was he was a partial avatar, and he went around some 21 times and killed many Kshatriyas, many kings who were evil-minded. And then after that, he was very agitated. He was in a state of chala because for so many years he had gone around killing people. Even though he was killing only kings who were unrighteous, still he was so involved in that act because I'm not going through the full story now, but he had an unpleasant incident with a particular king. So that is when he took the oath that such people should not be allowed to rule the country. They will destroy the country. Everybody else will suffer. So with a noble idea only he did it. But he was basically a very rajasic person, and so the anger had also overpowered him. So since he was having so much of anger within him, he got very involved in that act of killing. So that acts of killing actually created a lot of impressions in the deeper layers of his mind. They created a lot of karmas. So those karmas didn't allow him to be peaceful. He had lost all his peace. So he didn't know what to do. So he went, he was walking in the mountains, and he saw a saint, a yogi, who was sitting there and meditating. And the moment Parashurama saw him, he felt so happy and peaceful, because that saint was such an advanced yogi that he was radiating the energy of peace and happiness. So Parashurama went and bowed down to him, and he said, "Oh Master, I want to attain peace, the ultimate peace. Please help me." Now that yogi opened his eyes and looked at Parashurama, and he smiled, because here was an Ansh avatar of God, and he was asking him, So this is the Maya, this is the illusion. So the yogi said, "I will not be able to help you because I am not your guru." Then he asked him, "Then who is my guru? Where should I go?" He said, "Go to Bhagavan Dattatreya." Dattatreya was an incarnation of Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, all three put together. All the holy Siddhas and Avadutas worship Lord Dattatreya. They follow Bhagavan Dattatreya because of his immense powers. So then Parashurama said, "Okay." And he went to Bhagavan Dattatreya, and he approached him and took his guidance. So Dattatreya gave him the initiation. So for many years, Lord Parashurama sat and did the sadhana. He gave him the initiation, different initiations, the Shakti sadhana, the Sri Vidya, so many aspects he had given. And when he was practicing these, he felt very peaceful and happy. So one day, he thought, "Oh, earlier I was so agitated. Now that I've done this sadhana for so long, I'm feeling very peaceful. This is something wonderful." So he opened his eyes. And when he opened his eyes, he saw the world again. Now the moment he saw the world again, he found that he got disconnected from the infinite. So he went to his guru and asked him, "Sir, why is this happening? When I'm sitting with my eyes closed, when I'm doing the sadhana, I'm feeling very peaceful. But when I open my eyes, I'm getting disconnected from that state of divinity. I'm so connected when I'm in meditation, but I get completely disconnected when I start interacting." He had not even interacted, he just opened his eyes. But even that is the starting point of interaction, because you start seeing things. He said, "I'm losing my peace, I'm losing my focus. When I'm meditating, I feel that inner strength, but that is going away. Why is that?" To which Bhagavan Dattatreya answered him, he said, the secret is in pratishtam, getting established. To attain the state of achala is no doubt very difficult, which Parashurama had managed to attain by doing the sadhana. But to get established in that state of achala, which is pratishtam, is even more difficult. So he told him, you have crossed the first challenge. Now you need to do more sadhana, you need to intensify your practices till you get established. So to which Parashurama asked him, what does it mean by pratishtam? How will I know whether I am established or not? He said, whether your eyes are open or closed, you will still be connected with the infinite. The moment you lose your connection, it means to that extent you are not established. So some people, even when their eyes are closed, they'll lose their connection. Some people, when they start interacting with the world, they will lose their connection with the infinite. The infinite peace which they are experiencing will go away. So till you get to that state of pratishtam, you should not leave your sadhana, you should intensify it. See, even when you're watching the Sunday discourses, you're receiving the healing energy, you feel so nice. Throughout today, you will, that peace, that happiness which you experience in the session will be there. And tomorrow it will become a little less. Day after tomorrow it will become, it will reduce a little more. By the time you go to the end of this week, the effect, the powerful effect of this sadhana would have reduced. That is why we are having it week after week. It is not enough if you merely experience achala. The most important aspect of sadhana is to get established in that state, pratishtam. So then Lord Parashurama understood that. He went and did his sadhana meticulously, consistently. And he uncovered whatever his true potential was. He was actually an Ansha avatar. In between he had forgotten that. So it's very, that itself has a deep message for all the sadhaks, because everyone has come from divinity only. You've just forgotten that. So if Parashurama had to do a certain amount of tapas, you may have to do a little more tapas to get connected and then get established in that connection. The amount of disconnection may vary, but the principle remains the same. So one is not being agitated. So when something, everything is fine around you, you may say, I am in a state of peace, I am in a state of achala. That is not the test of whether you are in a state of achala or not. The real test is when something goes wrong outside. Similarly, when we talk of being focused, when your mind gets attached to some object or someone, it will go on thinking about that person or that object. That is not the test of focus. Like for example, a drug addict, he is constantly thinking about drugs. Does it mean he is focused? An alcoholic, he is constantly thinking about alcohol. Does he mean he is focused? Actually, you will say he has lost focus. Now, if he turns around and says, see, I am having the capacity to continuously think about alcohol, therefore I am a yogi. If he says that, will you accept it? When a boy meets a girl and they fall in love with each other, then they are thinking about each other constantly. But will you call it focus? No. So what is the true test of focus? Whether you like something or not, your ability to place your mind, your ability to concentrate on something with a choice, that is what is the meaning of focus. So if you are eating means, now you may want to think of so many other things, but you decide no. You tell your mind, now just for, be here in this present activity of eating. So you channelize the mind towards that action. So whenever you consciously channelize your mind towards an object or a person or any activity, it could be anything, that is called focus. When the mind runs on its own, that is not focus. I am just giving you some more subtler tips for the different dimensions of Achala, and then we'll move on. The subtler tips are being given when you combine the Achala with Pratishtam. So when is it that you're really established in focus? Not when your mind is just running towards something on its own. When you gain the capacity to channelize your mind whenever you want, which means when you don't want or when you want to withdraw the mind, you should have the capacity to withdraw. When you come to that level, then you are in the state of Pratishtam. You got established in focus. So first thing is not getting agitated. I told you, when something goes wrong, that is the test. Similarly, the test of your focus is in whether you have the ability to channelize the mind consciously and whether you have the ability to pull the mind back consciously. So when there are no disturbances, to say I am focusing, that itself is difficult only, but that is only the first aspect of the sadhana, which is achala. But then, in spite of any disturbance, to remain in that focus and consciously have the ability to consciously withdraw the mind, it means you've gotten into pratishtam. So that is called true mastery of achala. See, I am giving you these things so that you can keep these as your goals. Then the third aspect, being strong. Chala means being very frail, weak. So achala means strong. So when some challenges come to you, that is the sign of true strength. So when there are no challenges in life, if you have not taken any responsibility, now to say that I am very strong has no meaning. When you take up more responsibilities, at that time, how strong are you? Are you getting bogged down? Are you getting into a state of achala? Or are you continuing to remain in the state of chala? So if you continue to remain in the state of chala, in spite of any responsibility which you take, then it means you are in a state of pratishtam. So this was demonstrated by Lord Krishna. He took up the great challenge of masterminding a world war. See, just imagine masterminding a world war, that can cause so much of agitations, because you may plan so many things. Like, see, Arjuna himself suddenly wanted to withdraw from the battle, the main person who was supposed to fight. So many things can go wrong. But in spite of all that, Krishna was ever in a state of achala because he was well established. Of course, Krishna was an avatar. So right from birth, he was in this state because he is actually a representation of the infinite. So, Achala is one aspect of the sadhana, and then Pratishtam. When you add the word Pratishtam to Achala, you get the total picture. So when you practice Achala, and then when you also add this dimension of Pratishtam to it, Achala Pratishtam, that total practice will give you Shanti, will give you peace. So don't be satisfied with temporary benefits. No doubt when you get into spirituality, when you surrender to the Master, when you receive the healing energy, lot of good things will happen. But that is all not our focus. Our focus is Achala Pratishtam, getting firmly established in that state of being totally connected with the infinite. So a person who is completely connected with the infinite will remain unmoved under any circumstance. It is not the external manifestation that I am talking about, but it is the internal state. In this verse, he is more talking about the internal state of a Sthita Prajna. In the next verse, he will be talking about how a Sthita Prajna, what will happen to a state of peace and all that when he contacts the world. So, now Apuryamanam Achala Pratishtam Samudram Apaha Pravishanti Advat. Now in the last line, he says, Sa Shantim Apnoti Na Kama Kami. So we will see that today. He is comparing a Kama Kami. He is calling an ordinary person as Kama Kami, and he is comparing a Kama Kami, that is a desirer of objects. That is how we have translated, but it means much more. So a desirer of objects to a Sthita Prajna. How will a desirer of object function, a Kama Kami function, and how will a Sthita Prajna function? Now in order to understand this, you need to first understand the meaning of Kama. So who is a Kama Kami, first of all? I told you before, the word Kama means desire, and the word Kama also means the object of desire. So depending upon the context, you need to understand whether it is he is referring to the desire or whether he is referring to the object of desire. And the word Kama has other dimensions also. But depending upon the context, we need to take the relevant dimensions. Now, what is so special about this verse is that he is using the word Kama to mean the object of desire in one line and to mean desire in another line. Actually, why two lines? Even in the same phrase, Kama, Kami, the first word Kama refers to the objects of desire, the object of desire, and the second word Kami refers to the person, the desirer of the objects. Now, why is he using the same word with different connotations? Because he wants you to think. See, in spirituality, there is one thing which all these masters do, that is, they never allow a student to conclude and get stuck with any particular word. See, it is a concept which is more important, not the words. Sometimes he may use the same word to mean two opposite things. Now, unless you learn to relate to the concepts, you cannot enrich your wisdom. A person who dabbles with mere words will become a pandit or a scholar, but he will not gain the true wisdom. As Shakespeare says, words, 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 he says, So all these great masters, they use words so liberally because anyway words are gross. They cannot explain the subtler concepts fully. So that is why I keep telling people, like many people say, we don't know the Sanskrit language, then can we understand the Bhagavad Gita? I say yes, it is possible, because even if you know the Sanskrit language, you know what is karma, you know what is kami. So you will know the literal meaning. But to actually absorb the sadhana message, the language is not going to help. The language is only an entry point. So that anyway you will come to know through the translation and all that. But what is more important is to derive the sadhana message. There the words, the language part is of no use. So many people claim superiority over others because in terms of spirituality I'm saying, because they have mastered that particular language in which that scripture has been written. Just because a person has gained mastery over the language doesn't mean he has gained mastery over himself. So throughout the scriptures you will find such phrases where they will deliberately use the same set of words to mean opposite things, to shake you, so that you don't get stuck with the words, you go beyond the words. So what is he saying here? First we'll understand the kama kami. Kama means the desire. It's loosely translated as desire. But in this context, you need to differentiate between kama and ichcha. I have mentioned this many times before, but every time I explain, some more facets are always given to you so that your understanding deepens. So whenever a desire comes out of a state, from a state of agitations, from a state of feeling a vacuum, a lacuna, then that is called kama. If you are not happy, if you are not peaceful, and then in order to become peaceful, if a desire is generated, if a desire comes out on its own, that is called kama. For example, you see your neighbor having a particular car. He has bought a new car and you see him driving that. The moment you see him, immediately you get agitated. Oh, he has bought that wonderful car. I have not been able to buy it. That is a state of agitation. You become very jealous. Now, you lose your peace of mind. You get into a state of agitations. The moment you lose your peace of mind, you get into a state of ashantihi, achala, that is, you move away from achala, you get into a state of chala, then automatically a desire comes out of that state of agitations. What is that desire here? I want to get that car. I also want to buy that car, that same model, or probably a further higher model also. Now this desire is called kama. So the first criteria, see, I'm telling you the difference between kama and ichcha. Both mean desire only. A spiritual person will have the ichcha shakti, whereas a non-spiritual person will be caught up in kamaha. So it's very important for you to understand the difference between kamaha and ichcha. So whenever the desire comes from a state of agitations, now that is called kamaha, number one. Now in contrast, what is an ichcha? From where is that coming? It does not come from a state of agitations. It comes from a state of peace. Now you may wonder, if a person is very peaceful, then why should a desire arise? The desire that never arises on its own, the ichcha. He may sometimes consciously generate a desire for functional purposes. He may think, yes, this car is required for this purpose. I require this car. Now, even without the car, he is very happy only. He doesn't look at his neighbor and say that, oh, he's got the car, I don't have. There is no jealousy, there is no comparison, there are no agitations. He is in a perfect state of peace. But for functional purposes, he may require that. Now, in order to get that, he consciously, willfully generates a thought flow towards that object. See, what is a desire? Whenever there is a thought flow towards an object, that will develop into a wanting or a thought of possessing it. That is called desire. So when he generates a thought flow towards an object consciously, willfully, for a particular purpose, then that is called ichcha. So two people, both of them may be having a desire for the same object, car, but one may be having kama, one may be having ichcha. So what these great masters are saying is, if you are in a state of kama, where the desire comes on its own, you are not consciously generating anything, the negative energy which is being created due to agitation, that projects a desire in order to become happy. That is the state of kama. Whereas in ichcha, he is always in a state of peace. So when he doesn't have a car, he is very happy and peaceful. When he gets a car, again he continues to stay in that state of peace and happiness. And tomorrow if the car goes away from him, again he will be in a state of peace and happiness. Whereas a person who is caught up with kama, that is what kama kami means, one who is caught up with kama. Such a person, before the desire, the kama comes, the desire comes, he is agitated. That is what is projecting the desire. And when he gets the car, is he happy? No. Because the moment there is kama, where if the desire is fulfilled, he will get into a state of fear, a fear of losing it. Now we saw that so extensively in the ladder of fall a few verses back. I'm sure you remember that. If his desire is not fulfilled, he will become very sorrowful, further agitated. If the desire is interrupted, he may get angry. He'll get angry with that person who has become an obstacle to his fulfillment, to the fulfillment of his desire. So the kama takes up various modifications, unpleasant modifications, like fear, anger, sorrow, arrogance. Each of these modifications can actually increase your agitations. So before the desire he is in a state of agitation, where during the desire also he is in a state of agitation. Now let us say his desire gets fulfilled and then that object is taken away from him. After a while, when that object goes away, he gets into a further state of sorrow and agitations. So a kama kami is one who is never in a state of peace. Whereas a Sthita Prajna, this facet of Sthita Prajna now we are comparing, is always in a state of peace even when he is dealing with desires. There his desires are called Ichcha. See, when we use those words clearly here initially, it makes it so simple for you to understand. Later on, if you want, you can use the word Kamaha to mean controlled desire and all that. It's not the words, it is what you mean that matters. But it's very useful initially to fix these concepts, fix these words and understand the concepts, and thereafter you can play about with the words if you want. So Kamaha versus Ichcha. So a normal person is a Kama Kami. He has no control over his desires. The first thing is the desire comes out on its own. Whereas a Sthita Prajna has mastered this Ichcha Shakti. He is always in a state of peace. He has this capacity of willfully desiring. So willful desire should be differentiated from a desire which comes on its own. Number one. Number two, for a Kama Kami, the desire comes from a state of agitations, whereas for a Sthita Prajna, the Ichcha is produced from a state of peace without disturbing the state of peace. And number three, when the desire is there, when the person is experiencing, that is, is going through the process of fulfilling the desire, a Kama Kami is even more agitated. Because when you are having Kama and when you are pursuing that object of desire, it will get into a state of craving. And later on, in the coming chapters, Krishna will be saying that, okay, you have a desire, but ensure that your desire doesn't develop momentum. Vega, he says. Vega means that force. Means you don't get into a state of a craving. So when you have Kama, it will definitely get into a state of craving. So when you crave for something, you will be in a state of stress and agitations, because whether the desire will get fulfilled or not, that is your first suspense. That is going to cause a lot of agitations. And then when the desire is fulfilled, you will get into a state of fear. We have seen all that. If the desire is not fulfilled, you will get frustrated, you will get angry, you will feel sorrowful. So many possibilities arise. Whereas when you take a Sthita Prajna, in the process of fulfillment of the Ichcha is so enjoyable, is so peaceful. A Sthita Prajna, when he says, I want something, now it is very, very simple and straightforward. He is very peaceful, and from that state of peace, he pursues that objects of that particular object of desire in a very peaceful manner. The Ichcha will never develop into a craving. He is not going to lose his sleep over that. See, that is one very good way of finding out. If you are caught up with Kamaha, you will not be able to sleep peacefully. Day and night, the fear, anxiety, all that will, the worries will keep disturbing you. Whereas if you are having Ichcha, now you will do whatever is required to be done in terms of fulfilling the desire, but rest of the time you will not be thinking about that object. Kama Kami's mind will always be running towards that object of desire. He is eternally in a state of agitations. So, for a person who is having Ichcha, if the desire is fulfilled, he is going to use that object effectively, he is going to enjoy that object in a calm way. If the desire is not fulfilled for some reason, then again he is not going to lose his peace. He will see what is the next best option. A kama kami will get so upset that he will be unable to function when his desire doesn't get fulfilled. He will become so highly frustrated. Whereas a kama kami, a person who is having ichcha, a willful desire, will continue to remain in that state of calmness. He will say, okay, I am not got this object of desire. Now, what has gone wrong is something seems to have gone wrong in the process. Let me correct it so that I can get that object of desire. If for some reason practically it is not possible to get that object of desire, then he will see what are the other options available. He will choose the best option with a calm mind. This is the next point. The third important point is when the object goes away. See, every aspect of this world is temporary, finite. No experience will stay with you forever. There is nothing called a permanent experience. If you're talking of permanence, a permanent experience, it is only the experience of divinity which is permanent. The true experience of divinity. So since every experience has a beginning and an end, even if your desire is fulfilled today, you need to understand that there will come a time where that object of desire will go away from you. Now when that happens, a kama kami gets into a deep state of sorrow and agitations. Already he is agitated, now his agitations will increase further. Whereas a sthita prajna will continue to remain in the state of peace, because his happiness or peace is not dependent upon that object. So even when the object of the desire goes away, now he understands that yes, life has to move on. What is the next thing which I need to do? So the three phases of a desire is what we are seeing here. One is before the desire, and then during the desire, and then after the desire. The three phases of a desire. Now I've given you, I've made a comparison for you. So you now understand, you now analyze yourself and see whether you're a kama kami or whether you're a sthita prajna. When I ask you that, you may say, what is the question, sir? I'm definitely not a sthita prajna. That's why I've already built the base in so many sessions where I've said these principles are applicable at the 100% level. They are also applicable at the relative level. So to the extent you practice these qualities, to that extent you are a sthita prajna. You've unfolded the sthita prajna from within. So nobody will be at zero. You will be at some stage, some percentage, 10%, 20%, 30% development in spirituality. So to that extent you're a sthita prajna only. Even as I'm saying that, you may feel like laughing and saying to call myself a sthita prajna sounds absurd because I'm having so much of stress, I'm having so many impurities and all that. But try to understand the concept which I am saying. It's not 0 or 100. You gradually move up. To the extent you get connected to the infinite, you slowly unfold the spiritual potential within you. You unfold the sthita prajna within you. To that extent, you will have the capacity of willful desire, that is ichcha shakti. So if the word sthita prajna is very difficult for you, that is to relate to yourself, then let us use the word yogi. That may be much more easy for you. Or a person who has purified himself or herself. Something like that may be easy for you. So, a kama kami, you have these two aspects within you. One is a kama kami, the other is a sthita prajna. So we are going, the whole sadhana is to move towards becoming 100% spiritually developed person. So you will have to come out of the clutches of kama. If you see in all the scriptures, they say don't have desires. Now the problem is in that English word desire. When the masters say don't have desires, what do they exactly mean? The word is kamaha. Don't become a kama kami. Don't become a slave to your desires. That is the meaning. They are not talking about Ichha Shakti, because the same masters who have given this principle, they also say that you should develop your Ichha Shakti. Actually, in the Puranas, it has been described like how did Lord Brahma create the world. He had the desire, the Ichha, that the world has to be created. He used the Ichha Shakti to create the world. That has a very deep significance, because they are explaining the science of materialization, how you can manifest your goals, how you can manifest the objects which you want to experience. We are not getting into that right now, but the point is, if you read the Puranic stories, you will find even Lord Shiva had a desire, Lord Vishnu had the desire. That is how the stories will come. Now you may wonder, they are gods. Now how can they have a desire? That is because you are just using the common, the word desire for kamaha and ichha. So you get into a wrong conclusion. So let us be very clear. Kamaha means an uncontrolled desire. Ichha means willful, conscious desire. You are perfectly under control. So when these great masters say don't have kamaha, in the very next verse, which we are going to see soon, he will be saying this: the person who has thrown away all the kamaha. Again, when we see the English translation, it will be one who has thrown away all the desires. So people are not coming to spirituality because of this misunderstanding. They feel, oh, if I come to spirituality now, I'll have to give up all my desires. My God, I don't want that. But if you understand this in depth, then you will actually not leave spirituality, because spirituality does not remove your desires. It helps you to convert your kamaha into ichha. It refines your desires. It gives you the mastery over your own desires. So what is it that the great masters are saying? They are saying in every field of life, you should have goals, you should have desires in terms of ichha, whatever is functionally required. See, if you are having a family, you will require a house. Now, how can you get a house if you don't have a thought of getting a house? If you are having more than 2 people in a family, you may require a car. Like this, Ichha goes, Ichha is fixed based on what is functionally required. And if at all you require a car, now you see your finances, why not go for the best one? Best according to you. So the masters say that if you develop this Ichha Shakti as a sadhak, slowly, if you come out of the clutches of kamaha and you grow spiritually, you unfold the sthita prajna aspect within you, then you start getting the capacity to desire willfully. So you fix clear-cut goals based on the functional requirement, and you don't lose your peace of mind. You're happy whether you have the object or whether you don't have the object. but you will still put in all the efforts to get that object because it is a functional requirement. So this is the primary, these are the primary differences between Kama Kami and a Sthita Prajna. Now what he's saying here is, a Sthita Prajna, when he is functioning based on the Ichha Shakti, he attains peace, means he is in a state of peace, Shantihi, whereas not the desirer of objects, not a Kama Kami. A Kama Kami is always in a state of agitations and stress. So today people are talking about stress management. They attend a lot of stress management courses and all that. The solutions given are all very superficial, external solutions. Drink a glass of cold water, just count from 10 to 1 backwards. Whenever you're angry, start counting 10, 9, 8. One person actually attended a stress management course, and he used to get very angry. He was a highly short-tempered person. So these two techniques were given to him. One is, whenever you get angry, drink a glass of cold water, and then you count from 10 to 1. Or you first count from 10 to 1 and then you drink a glass of cold water. Your anger will go away. So I asked him, so did that work? He said, no way. What happened was, there was someone who was insulting him and he is already short-tempered. So he was getting so angry. Then he remembered, I have to now count from 10 to 1. So in a very angry way he was counting 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 internally, The most interesting thing is, he says, each time I was counting, my anger was increasing. This is a highly superficial solution, And then as soon as that 1, I said 1, immediately I took the glass of cold water and I threw it at the other person's face. He was unable to drink it and all that. So, they are talking of anger management, stress management and all that. But the root cause of stress, the root cause of all these negative emotions is kama. Is when you're a kama kami, when your desire is coming out of a state of agitations, that is going to give rise to a lot of stress. So unless you learn to convert the kama into ichha, your stress will never go. This is the highest stress mastery. It is not stress management. See, stress, when we use the word management, it means it will always be there. You learn to manage it. That is only the initial level. But our masters say, they talk of stress mastery. That is the true state of shanti. So how do you master your stress? It is by converting kama into ichha. Then slowly from a kama kami, you will start getting transformed into a sthita prajna. So if you view this verse from this angle, it becomes very interesting, because a beautiful path is chalked out for you now. You have a kama kami at this end, you have a sthita prajna at this end. Kama kami is fully agitated and he is caught up with the kama, the uncontrolled desire. Now on this end, you have a sthita prajna who is 100% developed. He is having the ichha shakti. He has gained 100% mastery over his own mind. He is in a complete state of peace. Now you will be somewhere in between. It is like, this is like black and this is like white. In between will be different shades of black and white only. So as you move from a kama kami to a sthita prajna, your agitations will start reducing, your peace will start increasing. So how much of a kama kami are you? How much of a sthita prajna are you? This is an assessment which you need to make. So if anything is agitating you a lot, immediately do a little bit of analysis. What, obviously the agitation means it is the kama-kami element which is active. So what is that kama, desire, which is not under my control and which has become a craving? The moment you start seeing that, now you can do sadhana, you can work on it and convert it into an ichcha. It is a question of time. If you apply yourself properly, you will be able to do that. So this is the sadhana tip for you today. If you can just visualize the scale, kama kami on one end. So instead of taking kama kami and sthita prajna as two different people, they are two different aspects within you only. So kama kami is at 0% level, 100% agitation. Sthita prajna is at 100% level, 0 agitation, 100% peace. Now you keep fluctuating all the time. Sometimes you're calm, sometimes you're very highly agitated. Some desires may be at the kama level, some desires may be at the ichcha level. So how do you know whether your desire is kamaha or ichcha? Simple. Are you in a state of peace or are you in a state of agitation? To the extent you are agitated, to that extent it is kamaha. To the extent you are peaceful, to that extent it is ichcha. So you can, if you view it from this angle, it gives you the complete path of self-mastery. I always tell you, ancient wisdom is a science of self-mastery, how to master yourself. A yogi focuses on gaining complete mastery over himself or herself. And when you attain 100% self-mastery, you are a sthita prajna. So we will pause there. Next week I will give you a little more, I'll explain a little more about this and then we'll move on to the next verse. Having studied this verse in such depth, you will be able to appreciate the deeper messages in the next verse, because both have the same base of shanti. One is talking of the internal state and the other is talking of when he is contacting the world. So without absorbing the deeper messages of this verse, if we straight away move to the next verse, you will not be able to really get the deeper sadhana messages lying there. Okay, so today a lot of points have been given to you. Reflect on that. These are all very useful in your spiritual path and also in your worldly transactions. Actually, they both are not different because the whole exercise is to convert your worldly experiences also into spirituality. That is, doing everything in a spiritual way, starting from eating to any sense enjoyment to any emotions, everything. So spirituality is a way of life. It is not talking about a particular set of experiences. It is talking about converting any experience into a divine, peaceful experience. Okay, so before we go into today's meditation, I will take up the questions which have come. This question has been asked by Shiva Krishnan. He has put it in the YouTube comment section. This: thank you Yogishri for a powerful session in sadhana. One should observe and find out their level of peace in one of the three categories. Number one, being alone. Number 2, contacting the world. And number 3, once we contact the world, whether we have a positive or negative impact on others. As I observed myself, I found out I like being alone, and this is where I find most peace and balance. Once I contact the world, depending on whom I am interacting with also plays a role in maintaining my peace, maintaining my balance, and having a positive or negative impact. For instance, initially I am able to maintain the peace on things that irritate me by not reacting externally, even though I am agitated internally. But after that I am unable to do so and tend to have a negative impact. What should I do to maintain my peace internally and not be agitated? Thank you again for your guidance. Now, I'm taking up this question because it's so relevant here. He's talking about the 3 aspects of Shanti which I gave. That's why I started off by explaining this word Pratishtam today. That will answer this question. But there is one very important point before we get into the main question. There is a very important point which I want to mention here. That is, you have said that initially I am able to maintain the peace on things that irritate me by not reacting externally, even though I am agitated internally. Now there is a contradiction in that statement. When something is irritating you, then means you are not in a state of peace. But you are saying I am externally maintaining peace. That is not peace at all. See, remember, all these things which he is talking about is your internal state. If you are internally agitated and you are trying to be peaceful outside, then is that true peace? That is actually suppression. That is why you are unable to maintain it. After a while it will burst. Most people have faced this problem. They are so agitated internally, but they go on suppressing themselves. So one day, suddenly it gathers momentum and it bursts, like a volcano, it just erupts. Many quarrels, it looks as if they are quarreling about some trivial thing. Apparently it looks like that. But actually the energy behind that quarrel, the negative energy behind that quarrel is not that thing. It will be an accumulation of suppressed anger and irritation for many days or weeks or months also. So suddenly it may explode in some unconnected thing. So in the ancient wisdom gives you that clarity to understand your own problems in depth and solve them permanently. So whenever you're agitated internally, there is no question of being peaceful outside and all that. That is just a show, it will not work. It is a state of suppression. So what should you do? You may ask me, sir, if I'm angry now, should I go and express my anger? That is also not a good thing, because that may create more other kinds of problems. So what should you do? That is where in the yogic path, they give you this beautiful sadhana of releasing. Last week, or was it last week or the session before that, I had given you this principle of deep breathing and releasing. This is something which you should practice. You should release it. You should release whatever negative energy is stored during the Yoga Sankirtan sadhana. You should also practice this deep breathing whenever some emotion comes and overpowers you. So release means neither suppressing it within yourself nor indulging in that emotion and expressing it without your control and getting into problems. But releasing means removing it from your system. See, when you suppress something, that will go on increasing. When you unintelligently express an emotion, that will also increase it within you. You may see, in other words, if you are angry, If you're just shouting at people, it's not that your anger will reduce, actually it will increase only. Or if you don't shout and if you just keep quiet and suppress it, if you put on an act of peace, that will again increase your anger. Then what is the way? Sadhana is the way. In the next Yoga Sankirtan session, sadhana session, release that anger by doing the deep breathing. During the Yoga Sankirtan empowerment session, I have given this principle from different angles so that you master that. And then the breathing technique I told you, the ancient yogic technique of deep breathing. Since you are attaining the Prana Tattva level 1 now, I've been teaching some very, very special breathing techniques. Now using that, when you do the deep breathing, it's not merely mechanically the act of breathing, but you should use the breathing to detach yourself from that emotion, and you breathe through that emotion that will get released. That is the way you can become peaceful over a period of time. It is a sadhana for life. Initially, small challenges which are affecting your peace, now you will be able to gain mastery there. But then bigger challenges may throw you off balance. That's why I told you, challenges start from small challenges to very big challenges like death of a near and dear one. So you should go on doing the sadhana and releasing the negative factors from within till you get to a state of sthita prajna. Every empowerment course which we have will build this inner strength for you to be able to release whatever is unwanted within you. Actually, in the empowerment courses, so much of release happens without your knowledge, because the higher healing Shakti is being given so powerfully, So the whatever dirt which you may have stored from within all get sublimated with the grace of the higher energy, with the grace of the Guru Shakti. This is one point. The other point is, you have said, I am very peaceful when I am all alone by myself. Now, that is again something which you need to understand more deeply. When I am talking of being alone and being peaceful, you should be careful that you are not misunderstanding shyness or an inability to relate with people as a positive quality. See, sometimes people are very shy, so they are unable to relate to others. I'm not saying you are like that, I'm just saying check up. There's always a percentage. Some percentage of that will be there. So your inability to relate with people may be forcing you to stay alone. That doesn't mean you're in a state of peace. You may be in a state of tamas. You're unable to come out of that comfort zone. So those three aspects of peace, actually they are not step 1, step 2 and step 3. They go simultaneously. So being all alone by yourself is actually, it means being meditative, being connected with the infinite. That is what is truly being alone with yourself. So a person says, I am very peaceful when I am alone. He is constantly playing a game in the cell phone, let us say, or he is watching something on the cell phone. Now he is actually not alone, he is still interacting with the world only. So what do you mean by alone is something which you need to reflect upon. Because if you are truly peaceful by being alone, then to that extent you will be able to relate with others also. Because you will see the same infinite in others, you will see the same divinity in others also. So don't confuse being shy or reticent or the inability to relate with people with the solitude of a yogi. A yogi may choose solitude for certain practical reasons, in order to do some research, in order to give healing to others. There may be so many practical reasons. But that solitude is not loneliness. That solitude is not the inability to relate with people. When a situation demands, he'll be able to relate with everybody also. So solitude is not hatred towards the world. Okay, so these are the 2 points which I wanted to mention. The rest of the answer I think you've got during the sessions themselves. Okay, so other questions we'll see later. Now we'll do the Nididhyasana meditation. I'm going to install these powerful principles which we saw today in the deeper layers of your mind. So relax completely. Keep your spinal cord erect. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. With every breath, I am becoming more and more relaxed. With every breath, I am becoming more and more divine. I am like the ocean, Samudram. I am in a state of achala, no total peace, extremely focused and internally very strong. I choose to consistently do sadhana, a spiritual practice, till I get into a state of pratishtham, firmly established in the state of peace. I choose to convert all my desires from the state of kamaha, the uncontrolled desire, to the state of ichcha, willful desire. I am ever connected with the infinite divine principle. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Slowly come back. Wriggle your fingers, your toes. Rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, cheeks, forehead, top of the head, back of the head and neck. Slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. So today we had another deep session. This concept of, again when I say concept, it is not an intellectual concept, but the sadhana of kamaha and icha is something which you should master, converting the kamaha into icha. These are the secrets of the yogis. See, many scholars who study the scriptures, who do a lot of intellectual analysis, they will not be able to know the difference between the kamaha and icha and how to convert the kama and to icha through sadhana. It is only these great masters, the yogis, who have actually done the sadhana and who have converted the kama-kami aspect within them to asthita prajna. They alone know these secrets and they are giving it to us, So we should step up our level, we should set aside all our preconceived notions and absorb the energy which they are giving us. That alone will help us. So as far as the prana tattva level 1 empowerment is concerned, we are going into the third part from tomorrow. It's going to be very, very intense. All of you have been receiving the energy very well. Just one small thing, kindly practice whatever homework which is being given there. There is some practices, breathing practices. Also write down your goals, be very, very clear. Even if it is one thing, you should be clear that this is what I want to manifest. And let that be very positive, because now we are getting into the third and then the fourth part is also there. So the aura expansion and goal manifestation, all this is going to be dealt with soon. So it's better you're well prepared for that. And a lot of empowerment energy and healing energy is also being given. So stick to the discipline, a particular time, and do the sadhana in a dedicated way. Attend the course with full sincerity and dedication, which you're already doing. I'm just mentioning for what it's worth. Okay, so next week we will see a little more of this comparison, that is, which he's making between a kama kami and a sthita prajna, and then we'll move on. Okay, thank you very much. Hari Om.